Eala, wherever she plays, the crowds are huge. So I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in her opening match at Wimbledon this year.
July 1st, 2025. Court 14 at the All England Club. A 20-year-old Filipino wildcard named Alex Eala wins the first set against Barbora Krejcikova, a former Wimbledon champion, and then loses the next two by scores of 6-2 and 6-1. She walks off the grass that day ranked outside the top 50, one of 128 women in the draw and not one of them seeded with her name. June 22, 2026, almost a year to the day, the WTA releases its weekly singles rankings using results through Sunday night. Alex Eala has moved from world number 35 to world number 30. Because Wimbledon uses that exact Monday ranking as its seeding cutoff, and because the tournament seeds the top 32 players, the same Filipino player who lost on an outside court 12 months earlier is now, for the first time in the history of her country, a seeded entrant at a Grand Slam. A young girl from a smaller nation has proven she can compete against the best in the world. Same venue, same dream tournament, but this time she walks through a completely different door. To understand how she reached that moment, you have to begin with a chapter that looked, at first glance, like disappointment instead of history. Just 2 days before her seeding became official, Eala lost the Berlin Open semifinal to Linda Noskova, 6-2, 6-4, on June 20th. Ironically, that defeat is one of the biggest reasons this story exists. Wimbledon does not award seeds based on performances during the tournament. Seeds are earned through an entire year of WTA ranking points collected across different tournaments, different continents, different surfaces, and countless victories and defeats. The seeding line is simply drawn on the Monday before Wimbledon begins. Eala finished Berlin with 125 valuable ranking points, bringing her career total to 1,557 points and lifting her to world number 30. When the provisional Wimbledon entry list appeared, she was listed as the 29th seed after Victoria Andreescu withdrew because of a left knee injury. The official draw followed on the weekend of June 27th and 28th before the championships officially began on June 29th. Think about how unusual that journey really is. Fans from countries where tennis is not the dominant sport are often taught to see defeat as the end of the story. Eala lost to Noskova in Berlin. It was her second defeat against the Czech player in 2026 after a 6-2, 6-0 loss at Indian Wells earlier in the season. Before Birmingham, reports also claimed she carried an 0-13 career record against Czech opponents. Whether every number in that statistic is perfect or not, it represented a narrative that had followed her for years. Every loss reinforced the idea that Czech opponents were an impossible hurdle. When she walked off the Berlin court after another defeat to Noskova, many people could have written headlines about limitations instead of progress. They could have described a player capable of upsetting top stars in early rounds but unable to finish the job in the semifinals. Yet only 2 days later the real headline appeared. Alex Eala had become the first Filipino player ever seeded in the singles main draw of a Grand Slam. Both stories were true at exactly the same time. The defeat and the historic achievement existed together, proving they were never contradictions. In reality, one helped create the other. The evidence is straightforward. On June 22, Eala climbed 5 places from world number 35 to world number 30 after gaining 125 ranking points in Berlin. Wimbledon seeds only the top 32 players, meaning she secured her place comfortably inside the cutoff. She moved ahead of several established names, including Hailey Baptiste, Emma Raducanu, Donna Vekic, and Katerina Siniakova. Seeing a former US Open champion like Emma Raducanu ranked below Eala shows just how significant that single week became. One outstanding tournament on the right surface against elite competition completely changed the outlook of her Wimbledon campaign. Even more impressive is where those points came from. They were earned on grass, the surface many expected to be her weakest. Eala developed her game at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, an academy traditionally associated with clay and hard courts rather than grass. Yet during the 2026 grass season she compiled a remarkable 9-2 record. That stretch included her second WTA 125 title at Birmingham on June 7, where she battled past Nikola Bartunkova 5-7, 6-3, 7-5. Reports described that victory as finally ending her long winless run against Czech opponents. Whether viewed statistically or symbolically, the message was powerful. She had claimed her first professional title on grass while rewriting the very narrative that once seemed impossible to escape. Berlin then elevated everything to another level. Entering the WTA 500 event as a wildcard making her tournament debut, Eala defeated Donna Vekic in the opening round, one of the very players she would later overtake in the rankings. She followed that with a stunning victory over world number 2 Elena Rybakina, winning 7-5, 6-4. Then she produced another sensational performance by defeating world number 8 Alina Svitolina 6-3, 6-4 in the quarterfinals. 2 consecutive victories over top 10 opponents at a WTA 500 tournament announced to the tennis world that this was no lucky run. The WTA recognized it as her first career WTA 500 semifinal, while ESPN described her performances as remarkable and highlighted yet another major upset. That is the real story behind the historic Wimbledon seeding. It was never a gift. It was earned through one extraordinary grass-court campaign where a player once considered vulnerable on the surface defeated some of the very best athletes in the world and transformed years of steady progress into a breakthrough that changed the history of Philippine tennis. That is what 125 ranking points look like when viewed across an entire season. That is the mathematics behind the milestone. Then she lost. Ironically, losing was what completed the journey. The Berlin Open semi-final against Linda Noskova ended 6-2, 6-4. Noskova, just 21 years old and ranked world number 13, is one of the brightest young talents in tennis. This is not the story of someone preventing Alex Eala from achieving greatness. It is simply the story of 2 outstanding young players meeting in a grass-court semi-final, with one advancing to the final. Here is where everything changes. Those ranking points Eala earned by reaching the semi-final, points she never would have received had she exited earlier, were exactly the points that lifted her ahead of Hailey Baptiste, Emma Raducanu, Donna Vekic, and Katerina Siniakova when the new rankings were released on Monday. She was not seeded despite losing to Noskova. She became seeded because she reached that semi-final. The defeat is not the opposite of the achievement. It is part of the achievement itself. The match she failed to win became the match that carried her onto Wimbledon's seed line. That is a sentence Filipino sports fans have rarely been able to write about one of their athletes competing in an individual global sport, and it deserves to be appreciated. Sometimes a loss creates the opportunity that changes everything. That is why the week before Wimbledon matters so much. After Berlin, Eala headed to the Bad Homburg Open in Germany. Her opening singles match was scheduled against top 25 player Elise Mertens on Monday, June 22nd, followed by her opening doubles match on June 23rd. In doubles, she partnered 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams. The image almost tells the story by itself, a young player making her Grand Slam debut as a seeded competitor sharing the same side of the court with one of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen. It represented the future and the past of women's tennis standing together. There is another important detail worth mentioning. No verified public quote from Alex Eala about becoming a Wimbledon seed has appeared in published reporting. Rather than invent words she never said, it is more responsible to acknowledge that absence. What does exist are the reactions from the organizations covering her rise. The WTA described Berlin as Eala's first WTA 500 semi-final and treated her victory over Alina Svitolina as a genuine breakthrough. ESPN called her Berlin campaign remarkable and labeled the Svitolina victory a major upset. Yet there comes a point in every player's career when beating a top 10 opponent stops feeling like an upset and starts feeling like an expectation. Eala is entering that stage of her career, where the tennis world is slowly changing how it defines her performances. Rappler captured the moment by writing that Eala had come a long way from dreaming of simply playing in the Wimbledon main draw to earning a coveted seed at her favorite Grand Slam. That was Rappler's description, not Eala's own words, but it reflected the significance of the achievement. Across Philippine media, including Philstar, Rappler, GMA, Business World, Inquirer, and ABS-CBN, the coverage on June 22nd was extensive. On Filipino tennis communities and social media, one word appeared repeatedly: historic. That description is entirely justified. To understand why, consider the scale of the achievement. Wimbledon and the other Grand Slam tournaments have used a 32-player seeding system since 2001. Over 25 years, with 4 Grand Slams each season, that equals 100 Grand Slam singles draws under the current format. During that entire period, no Filipino player had ever been seeded in a senior Grand Slam singles main draw. Until now. A useful comparison is India's Sania Mirza, who reached a career-high singles ranking of world number 27 in 2007 and became one of the defining figures for women's tennis in emerging tennis nations. At just 21 years old and ranked world number 30, Alex Eala now occupies a similar position on the global rankings ladder. That comparison does not suggest she has matched Mirza's career or surpassed it. It simply illustrates how rare it is for a player from an emerging tennis nation to reach this level. The Philippines has never had a player standing on this step before. Only 32 players earn Grand Slam seeds, 4 times each year. It is one of the most exclusive groups in professional tennis. Now compare that reality with where Eala stood only 12 months earlier. On July 1, 2025, she walked onto court 14 at Wimbledon to face former champion Barbora Krejcikova. She won the opening set before eventually losing 3-6, 6-2, 6-1. It was her Wimbledon debut. She arrived as an unseeded wildcard ranked outside the world's top 50, one of 128 competitors in the draw. There was no number beside her name, no protected position in the bracket, only an opportunity to compete against one of the sport's biggest names. She lost in 3 sets and quietly exited the tournament. There is no verified public quote from Eala reflecting on that defeat, but none is necessary. The facts tell the story more clearly than any interview could. 1 year later, she returns to the same venue under completely different circumstances. Picture the player lounge inside the All England club. The official draw board displays the seeded names: Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, and many of the biggest stars in tennis, including the very same Rybakina whom Eala defeated in Berlin only days earlier. 32 names from the strongest tennis nations in the world appear on that board. Among them, for the first time in Philippine history, is Alex Eala, projected as the tournament's 29th seed. While the official draw released on June 27 and 28 could shift her exact position by a place, one thing would not change. She would remain inside the top 32. She belongs on that list. That is the real achievement. Not bigger than it is. Not smaller than it deserves to be. As of June 22, 2026, Alex Eala stands among the 32 seeded players at Wimbledon. When the official draw is released, the tennis world will finally learn her opening round opponent, her section of the bracket, and the path she must take through the championships. 1 year ago she entered through the front gate as a hopeful wildcard. This year she walks through the same gates with a seed beside her name. Same
tournament, same player, completely different place in the room.